Let's go. Okay, Abigail, smack that thing 3 times, okay? That was with some authority. We're going to officially call the Liberty Elementary School Board meeting to order today, Monday, March 25th, 2024, at the Jerry Rovey facility. We have 4 board members present: Vice President Parks, Board Member Bixler, Board Member Kenyon, and myself, Michael Todd. Our next item on the agenda will be our Pledge of Allegiance. And Abigail, will you lead us in that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, next item on the agenda is 1.3, approval of the regular agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the regular agenda consistent with Board Policy BEDB and temporarily suspend the governing board policy with which this agenda may be inconsistent.
Mr. President, I second that.
Have a motion, a second, for the approval of the agenda item 1.3. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that proof 4-0. Next up will be item 2.1, school newsletters. Superintendent update, Dr. Monroe.
President Todd, Vice President Parks, members of the board, I hope that you each had a very good spring break. We're able to get some time with your family, and I know our staff, our teachers, our students, our families, I hope that they also had a great, restful spring break. We're now in the stretch run, if you will. The next 3 to 4 weeks, as you'll see highlighted in some of these school newsletters, there'll be testing occurring at the sites for various grade levels during various times for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So this is an important time of year where we're encouraging our parents to make sure our kids, our students get to bed on time and, have a good breakfast and just be ready to show what they know. We're really proud of them, and we know that they'll be able to show what they know. And we also have baseball and softball tryouts coming up as the weather's warming up, so that'll be fun for our intermediate students, our middle schoolers. I think tryouts maybe start today. I could be mistaken, but I believe tryouts start today. So very soon we'll be hearing the bat and the ball, and our teams competing, which is great for our kids. Also, we're entering into that season where there's a lot of different school performances that are taking place at various schools, and the board members, you'll be invited to participate in those, and we'd love to have you present. And there's a lot of other exciting things in the newsletters that you can see there, and we can answer any questions you might have.
Members, any questions? Hearing none, we'll move to item 2.2, Governing Board and Superintendent Recognitions. Dr. Monroe.
President Todd, Vice President Parks, and members of the board. Again, our favorite part of the meeting is to recognize our wonderful students. One board meeting a month, we recognize our excellent students in the district. The other board meeting, we recognize our wonderful volunteers and our staff members. So President Todd, I'm going to pass the baton back to you, and we'll go through our students of the month from our schools.
Great, thank you. Board, if you'll join me up front. So as Dr. Monroe alluded, each month we recognize students from a different school, and this month it is Abigail's school, Blue Horizons, right? And when we do all the schools, we recognize somebody from each school each month. So later you'll see a presentation on Blue Horizons, but tonight we take each school, we recognize a student of the month. We say the same thing kind of each month, but a little bit different. Each one of these students really represents the many great things that are happening in the district. But it's also to you as parents and grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, whoever you are in the room, if you are touching these students, you're doing good. And they're doing good. because they're the top of our organization. Doesn't necessarily all mean that they're the top grade or the bottom grade. It means that overall they're great students and they're doing great work here in our district. And so from being on school on time, persevering, doing better grades, they're everything that we want in the school. And to be quite honest, I think, and we all speak individually, but I think it'd be safe to say that as board members, we do this job because of them. There's not much else in it but doing what's right for these students. So we'll recognize them all, call them up. When we call your name, if you'll please come up, we'll shake your hand, we'll give you a certificate. NYPD always gives us a nice pizza certificate for you and your family to go enjoy some pizza. And when we're all done, we'll take a group photo and we'll move on. And Abigail is from Blue Horizons tonight. We always have one student that sits at the dais, so we'll hear more from her in a little bit. But she gets to join us in this process as well. So first up tonight from Blue Horizons is Ava Dottie. Congratulations. And next, also from Blue Horizons, is Lance Smith. Congratulations. First, we have Addison McGee. Congratulations. It's a good handshake. She's got a good handshake. Somebody taught her well. Next from Freedom Elementary is Amir Al-Latif. Congratulations. What happened?
I must have done the slide and
Oh, wow. Okay. The slide got him in PE. From Las Brisas Academy is Josiah White. Hey, how are you? Congratulations. From Liberty Elementary, Crew Stinnett. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You're like John Deere, huh?
Yeah.
I think he's a little agriculture guy there. From Rainbow Elementary, Ellie Dilly. Congratulations. Come on up, Mom. You did really good.
Look, get your stuff. Say thank you. Shake their hand.
Congratulations. So proud of you. So proud of you. Good job.
And our last but not least from West Isle Elementary, Haley Meckler. Congratulations. So again, it's quite an honor to represent the board and recognize these students for all that they do. They really, really just continue to do a good job. And you see this on our campuses everywhere we go as we take tours. But the stars of this month, here they are. So one more time, a big round of applause, please. All right, now it's time for a big family photo. Squeeze in.
Sure you hold up your certificates.
One, two, three. Do one more. One, two, three.
Board members, you want to stay up here for just a second? So I just want to take a moment and Abigail, come on up here in the middle of the board. President Todd. I want to introduce Abigail to you, and then we're going to take a picture with the board and let Abigail speak for a bit on the mic, on the microphone. I'm really proud of Abigail. I want you to know that as the superintendent, there's almost 5,000 students in our district, but I've been able to spend time with Abigail, and let me tell you where. I met Abigail at the state capitol. She was part of a group that Mr. Nemensky and some of our student leaders at Blue Horizon came down to meet some of our state legislators, and Abigail was one of them. I met Abigail at a National Junior Honor Society meeting. And then another time, Abigail came to this room with all the student councils and the student leaders from the schools as we talked about kind of improving the schools and things we could do. So I know that Abigail's really involved. And let me read you just kind of her little bio. Abigail Roquez, right? Did I say that right? She's a seventh grader. Impressive seventh grader at Blue Horizons. She serves on their student council at Blue, and she is the epitome of a student ambassador. She's also involved in the National Junior Honor Society as well as plays multiple sports. So she's a student athlete. She's a model student, and Blue Horizon is thrilled to have her representing their school this evening. So can we give her a round of applause? So Minnie, let's get a picture with the board and Abigail, and then we'll...
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so I'm going to walk with the microphone over here, and we're going to go back to the dais. And I'm going to let Abigail, let's see, we'll turn on your mic here, and I'm going to let her read for the audience and for the board just a little bio about herself. So go ahead, Abigail.
Hello, I am Abigail Roquez, and my aspirations for the future revolve around making a meaningful impact. One of the aspects I cherish about Blue Horizons is the ease of forming connections and nurturing relationships within the environment. Outside of academics, I actively engage in sports like basketball, volleyball, and soccer. I serve on the student council and I participate in the National Junior Honor Society. When I'm not busy with these activities, I cherish spending time with my family. I hold myself to standards, continually striving for improvement, not only for personal growth, but also to support others in reaching their goals. Ultimately, I find joy in both having fun and making a positive difference in people's lives. Thank you for allowing me to share my experiences and thoughts about Blue Horizons.
Thank you, Abigail. Appreciate all you do at Blue Horizons. I know I've got to be at the campus and see your work, from giving us tours to being in National Junior Honor Society. It's been great to see all that you do, and I know you're going to grow up to be a great community leader. You already are one, but you're going to continue to grow and continue to be a great leader, so thank you so much. And the fun's yet to come, because Mr. Minsky doesn't come up. You can ask him any question you want. The harder, the better. Okay. Next up will be Mr. Nemensky from Blue Horizons to give a presentation, an update on Blue Horizons. Abigail, take notes. Let us know if he says anything crazy, okay?
After her speech, we're just going to let her do the presentation. She said she could do this. Governing board members, each and every one of you, Dr. Monroe, district admin, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight to present what we believe has been a very successful year at Blue, and will be an even more successful future. We thank each and every person that's in this room for their support, whether they be parents or district admin, board, our teachers, our leaders. It is not just a Blue endeavor, it's a Liberty 25 endeavor. And we're very gracious and thankful, again, for the opportunity to present to you tonight. Joining me on our team tonight will be our two learning coaches, Mrs. Melissa Sochet and Mrs. Lindsay Patrick. They'll be joining to present some of the slides as well. Our assistant principal, Chelsea Soam, could not be here. She is moving back, I believe, this week to Alaska, so we will miss her. Tomorrow is her last and final day, so we will miss her, but she was a part of this presentation, and we appreciate her efforts on that. Oh, I have the clicker myself. So some highlights that we have. We've integrated 38 new staff members this year, and that is quite a bit. We have about 70 on campus, so you can do the math. That's more than half. Someone might ask, why do you have so many staff members? Well, being a new school, and being a new school in our third year, we've tried to do the best we could to get the right people on the bus, and to find the right people that are there for the fit, but are also there for the love and passion of teaching our students. 28 of those 38 new staff members were teachers. We're pleased to announce that the vast majority of them have committed to returning the next year. We're very excited about the continuity that will bring. When you have 38 new staff members, 28 teachers, one of the big things that the focus is going to be on is climate and culture. You're bringing a lot of people together that have never seen each other, have never worked with each other. You're putting a lot of people in collaborative teams that have to learn about each other. That was our focus. Someone say, well, did you lose your focus on academic and student achievement? Absolutely not. But we know that our teachers want to teach our students. They need to be there. They need to be happy to be there. They need to be focused. And if we get the right people again on that bus, we believe the student learning is going to follow. So a few of the things we did was just embed some staff recognitions. That seems to be pretty simple with schools in the 21st century, so we wanted to jazz them up a little bit. We had a staff member of the month that we recognized, and it wasn't just, hey, you're the staff member of the month, congratulations, take a picture. We gave them a parking spot. We gave them a drink of the week at Jackrabbit Java, which was really well received. We had some great concoctions down there. We were able to put that on our social media platform and say, hey, Miss Sochet is the teacher of the month. Come drink her tropical smoothie delight. She wasn't the teacher of the month. I'm making up a name. But it was really cool to do that. It was a great community outreach, and it felt our teachers that received that award felt like, hey, this is really something. They're not just pulling my name out of a hat to say I'm doing a good job. We really wanted to focus on that. Our monthly motivations, those were things like showing up to teachers' rooms as an administrative team from Kit Kat and saying, hey, you deserve a break, and giving them 15 minutes outside the classroom where we subbed for the teachers. That was very eye-opening for us, especially when I would hand a Kit Kat Kit Kat candy bar to a kindergarten teacher and then realize I'm on the floor for the next 15 minutes. So next year, make sure I get to middle school. But we did those things, and those were motivating. Stress balls for our teachers, giveaways for our teachers, just things that make them feel welcome. Most of our teachers come in each and every day. They're not asking for accolades. They're not asking for ceremonies. They're not asking for awards. They just want to know that they're appreciated and supported. And we tried to do that the best we could, and I think we were very successful with that. We also spent a lot of time aligning and making sure that our student expectations for behavior and for learning were consistent. It's one of the things we noticed in our survey data from last year is that our teachers reported they didn't feel that from classroom to classroom expectations were consistent. We know that students need those consistent expectations, especially at the middle school when they're traveling from room to room to room, or it's going to be a mixed message to them. We found that teachers, were able to get on board with that. We had great meetings at the beginning of the year and then throughout the year to make sure that those expectations, again, not just for behavior, but also for learning, for showing up and having my computer ready, being ready to take notes, being ready to be a model student was important. We're going to continue to hit that as we continue through. We wanted to strengthen our signature program. We combined once again with Defined Learning, which is a computer company, a software company that shows students, some of the careers that they can get involved in, some of the pathways that they can have, maybe to a career, maybe to a vocational field. We've done that, especially again with our middle schoolers. We've had presentations that several of you attended when we did our hurricane houses. We have 2 more that are on the calendar that we're going to get before the end of the year. We have a 6th grade one coming up pretty soon, I believe, regarding DNA. I got to clarify that, so we'll invite everyone for that. But getting our signature program beefed up, which again is college and career exploration, so that our students know there are answers, there are pathways, there are journeys that they can take when they leave Blue Horizon that's going to lead them to successful careers and successful lifestyles. Impactful coaching. 41 complete or current coaching cycles have taken place. And again, a coaching cycle ranges anywhere from a mini cycle of about 3 or 4 weeks to a full-on cycle, which could last 6+ weeks. 30 of our 45 teachers have been involved in those cycles at 67%. We have a few more that weren't even tallied on this one. They're scheduled to make it to the end of the year. When we're done with this year, we believe that 3/4 of our teachers will have been engaged in one or more impactful coaching cycles. We're very excited about that. Our community outreach, this wasn't anything new to Blue this year, but once again, we had Champs Nights, we had our Community Fall Festival. This year, we were able to do cookies with Santa, have board members take pictures with Santa, which was great. We have those saved if we ever need to break them out. Wonderful carnival events with board members getting in dunk tanks, and multiple dances for our students and families. When you're a new school in a new community, we understand the school is really kind of the heartthrob of that community. You drive around the Blue Horizons, there's a couple parks, there's a lot of houses, and there's one school smack dab in that community. We want to be the difference in that community. We want to know we want to be known what that community is known for, and we've definitely worked hard on that. So those are some of our highlights. Our college and career exploration, just to remind you, Define Learning, I've already spoken about that. We have for our 7th and 8th graders, our Bobcat Teacher Assistant Program. We call that BTAP. We allow our students, carefully selected students who have to go through an interview process just like they would in the real world, 15 to 25 minutes a day where they go down and they work with our kindergarten and first grade classrooms and students. They help supervise at recess and lunch, help work academically with them. What is that doing? It's providing a positive role model for our little ones, but it's providing a leadership opportunity for our older ones. This is the 2nd year we've done BTAP. We feel it's very successful and fits right in with what we're doing with our signature program. We've had many guest speakers. Most recently, umpire Alfonso Marquez, which I believe you heard about at the last board meeting if you were here, had such a tremendous impact on our students, giving them his legacy, his journey from Mexico to MLB umpire. They absolutely loved it. They asked great questions. It was a wonderful time, and we want to have more speakers that are able to come in and showcase what their backgrounds are to give our students examples and ideas of what they could be doing as they get older. We have a career fair that's scheduled for May. This will be our first one. We're hoping it goes well. We'll have more information about that soon. And we took a lot of field trips, and you might say, well, everyone takes field trips. You're correct, but our field trips, we really focused in on having our field trips have a college and career exploration theme. So several of our grade levels went to the Science Museum. We were able to explore the careers that scientists have, that engineers have, all those wonderful things. We weren't just going to the theme park. We wanted our students to have an academic real meaning on that field trip so they could come back and say, I didn't know that, but now I know that, and now I'm excited about what the career may hold. So those are a couple of our highlights. I'm going to turn it over to Melissa Sauché. She's going to take you through some goals. Then she'll turn it over to Lindsay, and then I'll close.
Sorry, I'm not quite as tall as Mr. Naminsky. So right now, the first part of data that I wanted to talk to you about is our Acadians data. And you'll see at the top, the beginning of the year, most common words our kindergartners knew 0 words. And, and now they know more than K. I'm not quite sure what I did there, but now they're at 22% for their most common words for the middle of the year. For the beginning of the year, the first graders for their most common words was 47%, and now they're at 24%. For second grade, they were at 50%, now they're at 62%, and then for third grade, we were at 68%, now we're at 73%. And the reason most common words are so important is because those are the words that kids see the most when they read, the most when they're out and about, those types of things, and it allows them to be more fluent and more confident readers. So then when you look at the data where it says phoneme segmentation for kinder, they didn't assess that at the very beginning of the year. And when they assessed it in the middle of the year, they were at 53%. So they show that is showing that they are able to break words apart. They're able to really understand what makes up a word and what I have to know in order to decode a word that I may not know. And it leads them into doing more multisyllabic words and those types of things as well. The other piece on here is the oral reading fluency. At the beginning of the year, we don't assess kinder and first grade, but second grade was at 52% and third grade was at 62%. You'll notice that in the middle of the year, that goes down, and that's typical because the goal goes up significantly. So the students sometimes struggle at that point in the year, but we're now back on track and we're moving back towards those right things. And we're going to talk a little bit about our action plan on what we're doing to strategically and specifically address those particular drops as well. Okay, there we go. Like, it's not moving. So for the Acadians, for our middle of the year, our kindergartners for 2021 were at 41%. 2022, 2023 was 58%. And then this year for the middle of the year, meeting the benchmark, that means the overall end of year goals for all of kindergarten, they were at 64%. Again, you'll see in first grade, our first grade cohort, really, they have made a lot of progress this year, but they started significantly behind from where they should have been. So we're really trying to push them to close those gaps and to make 2 years worth of growth within a year. For second grade, we went from 44% the first year that we were open all the way to 59% now. And then for third grade, we went from 48% at the very first year that we opened to 56% now. Again, third grade, the kids are having to comprehend more. That part of their Acadians' middle of the year goal is being able to read sentences and put the right words within those sentences. And it's a timed task. They have 3 minutes to do as much as they can correctly. And so that's where some of them get held back or struggle with because the timed piece, because it is a timed task. It's not that something that I just have all the time in the world to put the right things in place. So then the last piece is our ELA and math goal from our trimester 2 assessments. And so what you'll see with this is there is the percent correct, and then there is the percent mastery. And this also, as we were studying this data, led us to make some very strategic moves for the rest of this year to address why our percent mastery is so much higher than the percent correct. Our percent correct is so much higher than our percent mastery. And so the difference between those is percent correct is I took a test and I got 75 out of 100, so I got a 75%. But the percent mastery is which of the standards did I actually master to the point of I'm confident that I can, every time I see that standard, I will be able to answer those questions. And so we want to really address the significant difference between those two parts, and it happens in both ELA and math. So that gave us some strategic data that we wanted to address throughout our school. And then the next thing that you see is our Achieve and Dream box. I want to point out our third grade on here because our third grade is actually 8 points from meeting their end of year Lexile level growth goal. So they have been working super, super hard. They're at 513 Lexile now, which puts them right into the third grade level where they're supposed to be. And our teachers are just constantly having them push and read and do what they need to do to get them up to where they're supposed to be. So you'll also notice like all of our grade levels, they have all made progress. They're all reaching towards that goal of where we want them to be. But third grade is the closest to meeting that goal so far. So we're hoping that that happens this month. And then our Dreambox data shows you where the district wants us to be and where our teachers actually, or our grade levels actually are. So the kinder is, we want 1.5 years worth of growth, and right now they're at just about the 0.1. So I don't think that might be right, but so if you look at like how much growth we want them to go into and where they're at right now, so like for January we're at 0.8 of growth, and that's for the whole school, not just per grade level. So.
So again, I talked about this a couple months ago. Data's great, and having all that data at your fingertips is wonderful, but what are we going to do with what the numbers are telling us is most important. So a lot of this may sound a little bit familiar, especially in our K-3, but in our K-3 areas, our action plans are reading interventionists and coaches working with the lowest cohorts of students, Teaching in the classrooms, during Tier 3 instruction. I'm going to turn around and see a little bit better over here. Applications of reading and writing components in both core instruction and walk to read. Creating fluency folders, continuing to progress monitor, and accelerating the reading horizon pace. I mentioned that at the last meeting I talked at. We went into a couple of our grade levels and saw that they were doing, our teachers were doing reading horizons well, but they were doing it at a pace that wasn't allowing their students to be at a part of the year where they needed to be, and we needed to pick up that pace. So we're working on that so that our students can get all of that grade level content in 1 year and not be behind. In terms of our 4th through 8th grade action plan, our 4th and 5th graders next year will be, our teachers I should say, will be departmentalizing. What that means, if you are not familiar, right now in our 4 4th grade sections and our 3 5th grade sections, the students are self-contained. They stay with the teacher and they see the teacher for math, for reading, for science, and for social studies. We felt very important, it was very important next year to departmentalize so that our students can see a teacher for reading and social studies and then see a different teacher for science and math. I think I got that right. Yeah, I'm still learning the process on that. And we're going to do that in 4th and 5th grade. It's what our middle schoolers do. So we feel not only will it be a benefit for our students in 4th and 5th grade as they transition to the middle school, we also feel that it will bring out strengths that our teachers have. We may have a teacher who gets better results in math, and actually we do. We may have a teacher who's a little more comfortable in teaching ELA, and we do. So why not set those teachers up for success, get our kids moving around a little bit to get that experience they're going to need for the middle school and enhance the curriculum for them in that way, and we feel very strongly that that's going to be successful. Working with their teachers to have more student accountability through their learning, through embedded rigor. I'm going to keep coming back to the word rigor. As we've done walkthroughs, we've seen teachers doing great things, but we've often seen teachers teaching at levels that are below what our students need to learn. If our students truly are going to have access to a guaranteed and viable curriculum, which means a 7th grader is going to learn all the necessary 7th grade standards they need to be successful in 8th grade, then we need to have teachers embedding that rigor. That is a focus the second half of this school year and beyond. That's going to be our big topic next year, is embedding rigor. Challenge the students. If you have a student who's in 6th grade and they're performing at a 3rd grade level, challenge them. We believe our students will rise to the occasion rather than just focus on the area that they're at. We want them to achieve that grade level curriculum. Integrated intervention in time targeting students' need to enrich and extend learning, and special education opportunities in co-teaching in the general ed environment. So we pushed our special ed teachers again at some of the higher levels, and next year at some of the lower levels of students, to go into the classroom, not just pull those students out and have a small group, but to go into the classroom and co-teach right alongside those English teachers, those math teachers, those science and social studies teachers. You might say, why? Because that way, for no other reason, we can guarantee that all of our students, whether they have an IEP, a 504, anything at all, are having access to that grade level curriculum in the classroom. We feel very strongly about that. Is there a time for our SPED teachers to pull small groups? Absolutely, and that will continue. But we've really seen some great results when our SPED teachers have gone in and co-taught alongside their gen ed colleagues, and we want to do more of that. In terms of SPED, using targeted data to be specific with who, how, and why students are pulled for support. Again, integrating our SPED team into general education and collaborative teams. For our EL students, targeting our minutes through Tier 3 instruction, creation, and Tier 1 instruction, creation of fluency folders, and embedding the use of Lexia, which is a program that our district has provided for us that they can get on the computer and get additional support. We've really hit that hard this year, and we've seen great results with that. In terms of the whole school, promoting transparency with our data. As long as we are the leaders of the building, we won't shy away from what our data is. We are a C school. We don't want to rest as a C school. We want to be an A and a B school, and I believe we're moving in that direction. Working alongside our teaching staff to understand data and to use it better in instruction. Again, I'm going to come back to what I led this little speech with. Data's great, but what you do with it is where it really matters. So teachers can have numbers upon numbers upon numbers at their fingertips, but are they utilizing it in a way to put it back into instruction, to design interventions and enrichment when needed for their students? Our next step, Lindsay Patrick.
So our next step is to realize that action plan. We're going to have a two-pronged system of approach. Our first is to target our professional learning communities within our school. We're going to do this in 3 ways. First, by creating a guiding coalition. Many of our teachers and staff went to our Solution Tree professional development this past February, and we learned a lot about collaborative teams and how to utilize them within our school. So by building our coalition, we're going to have a team of staff, stakeholders, parents, and use the school community to continually serve our students and to help our students achieve. Look at data, understand the data as stakeholders, not just the people who look at numbers all day. Additionally, we're going to have our team lead retreat for the 2nd year in a row. We're going to gather our team leads from each grade level in the summer and have them come to us and refine and work on the data together. Make plans, make action plans during the summer so we have a long range idea and goal of what we're going into the next school year with. Additionally, we're going to have intentional scheduling. One of the pitfalls we've seen this past year with our middle school team is that we're not sharing the most data amongst our collaborative teams. Our 6th grade team, 7th grade team, and 8th grade meeting are collaborative teams, but they don't share all the data. We're going to redo our schedule next year, so our math middle school team is sitting together, looking at the math numbers, understanding this is what they're doing in 6th grade, this is what I must need to do in 7th grade to get them to the point that they have to be in 8th grade. So where are all of our students at? Sharing the data, sharing the students' growth. The other way that we're going to attack our action plan is by creating continued support in our classrooms. Coaching cycles to increase our tier one instruction, which we've been doing this school year. We have a targeted plan for next school year as well, going into the summer. Utilizing our reading interventional team to further build on our K-3 literacy goals. So our numbers next year are fantastic, and we're continuously having our students read and grow together. Collaborating with our CHAMPS teams to create a cross-curricular literacy support. So they're not just reading in ELA, they're reading everywhere, they're reading all day, they're continuously diving in texts to be able to get to proficiency. And to continually effectively use our data trackers to dive deeply into data down to the student level, so we all know where we all are and where we need to go.
Thank you to Melissa and to Lindsay, and we will take any questions, well, of course, from Abby. You got some questions ready for us, don't you? Okay, I didn't think so.
Abby, this is
Any
your
questions
chance.
that we have for the governing
The
board, we'll
hardest
be happy
question
to
you
answer.
could think of. If there's any questions.
Real quick, on slide 4, it says, there you go. No, there you go. Beginning of the year for first grade says, I'm sure this is a typo. First grade is 47%, and then middle of year goes down to 24. That doesn't, can you clarify it?
Most common word.
Middle of the year, our first grade team was working on doing their progress monitoring, but not all of the students were present. So if they weren't present, it didn't mark them, so it dropped the percentage because the number of students stayed the same. But the number of students who were passing changed because, did not change, because we were missing students that were absent during that testing window.
Okay, I just didn't understand the data, so, okay. Kind of comment, I really like the fact that you're looking into segmentation in the 4th and 5th grades. I think that that's a really great idea. When, kind of one of the things we're pushing here at the board level is, quote, thinking outside the box, trying new things, and we're encouraging leadership to do that. I'm really encouraged by seeing the new things that, especially at Blue Horizons, is doing, quote, thinking out of the box, doing, let's try some different things and see how it comes. I think that's great, so thank you for doing that. I think raising the expectations of the students is going to go a long way. I think we, continually push for the best out of our students. You'll start to see some really solid results. So thank you for all you do over there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I have no questions, but I do have a comment, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are working so hard for the inclusion of the students into all the classrooms, because that is clearly the best instruction that you can get, is that content area specialist. And being in that class where that instruction occurs with support, that's the way it's supposed to look. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Member Kenyon.
Yeah, thank you. I echo everything that was already said, and you already answered one of my questions. But the teacher appreciation, going outside the box, I think that goes a long way. We've seen, a boost with that, and just the BTAP. That's a great program. And I'm so proud of that, because you're right, it really helps those kids who are involved in that to step up, become role models, and it's a trickle-down effect with that, right? You help that kid, their peers see that, then you're helping the youngers looking at these older kids coming in, and they're role models. And so I love that. And just, thank you for all this data and letting us know what Blue's doing, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Keep it up, and we look forward to seeing these numbers shooting up.
Sure hope so. And thank you for the feedback on BTAP. One of the changes we made this year, we had it last year, but it was basically, hey, do you want to do BTAP? That's fine. This year we put our students through a very rigorous interview process. They had to interview in front of a committee of teachers. They had to earn the job. Not everybody got it. So again, why did we do that? To keep people out of doing it? No, to give them a real world experience as to, hey, you want a career? You're going to have to go out and you're going to have to earn it. So
And
thank
I
you
love
for the
it.
feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I say this often, but going last is oftentimes easiest, because I echo everything that my fellow board members have said. But I really want to commend you on the out-of-the-box thinking. It's obvious when we come to your campus, we see everybody. It's not a small group that's out of the box. It's the whole campus, which is good. Sometimes that can look chaotic, but it doesn't. It's very organized. It's very well thought out. So it's great. Sometimes you think about a helicopter, thousands of pieces operating chaotically in all different directions.
Yeah.
But it moves and it goes, and that's where I see you guys. The Guiding Coalition, I think, is a great idea. And what I admire most just about your campus is the recognition that you give to the staff and the students, and your focus on the community. Because you're right, we struggle in our entire district with, just as you said, a bunch of houses, maybe a park or two, and then a school. So your Champs Night, when you open that up to the public and you come in, you start talking to people, say, what grade is your kid? I don't have a student here. It's great, because they're coming in, they're seeing that. But that's also letting those people who are very important to us, because they're taxpayers, they're who keep the lights on. They get to see the good things that are happening. And so often you pay your taxes and then you hit potholes on the road and you go, where's my money going? There's no potholes at Blue Horizons that people are hitting. If there is one, the crew's out there to fix it quickly, patch it up, and get moving. So really, really appreciate it. And I certainly think you guys are leading the district in invites. We can do less dunk tank invites next year if you want, but otherwise, no, I enjoyed that as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the feedback. Thank you, everybody.
Next on our agenda is item 3.1, guidelines for public comment. Just a couple of reminders, public comment is governed by the Arizona Open Meeting Law. You'll have 3 minutes to speak once you approach the podium. It is rare circumstances where the board can comment or respond back to you. So for those of you who have not spoken before, oftentimes people expect the board to engage in conversation. Unfortunately, the law really does not allow much room for that. But with that, we'll go with our first speaker. Speaking on item 5.3, liquidated damages, Susan Madison.
Good evening. I'm Susan Madison. I am the 5th and 6th grade teacher, science teacher at Freedom. And I would like you to understand the circumstances that led to me rescinding my agreement to the contract. I'd like you to put yourself in my position. 2 years ago, I want you to think about your job and think about, you changed your focus 2 years ago at your supervisor's request. And you spent over 100 hours of your own personal time and your own money attending professional development to become that person. And you joined the Arizona Professional Association for that focus. You got a fellowship with ASU with that focus. You even got a local television station to come and to a special event to see what you've been doing. You get a tentative placement for the same focus. For the following years, so you go ahead and you sign your contract. A few days later, March 6th, you get an email saying, it's been wiped out. All that hard work that you put in, you're being sent back to what you used to be. There's no explanation, no discussion. This is just how it's going to be. It's just an email. You feel dehumanized. You feel demoralized. You feel devalued. That's how I'm feeling. I feel like Liberty District doesn't value its teachers or the hard work that we put in outside of the classroom. This situation has ruined my trust in this district. Contracts were not due until today, March 25th. I rescinded my agreement to the contract March 7th, the day after I received that email, telling me that I was changing from being departmentalized science to going back to self-contained, teaching all 4 core subjects. If I'd known that when I signed my contract, I never would have signed it. You would have my resignation here tonight instead of this situation. I was asked if I would be willing to change to a different school. I already drive over 50 miles each way to get to Freedom every day. And that combined with the ruined trust that I have with the district, no, I am not interested in remaining in this.
Your time has expired. Thank you. Our next public comment will be items for 6.1, public comment and non-agenda general comment, Carrie Jones.
Good evening, Dr. Monroe and governing board members. Before my original comments, I would like to first implore the board not to move general public comments to the end of the board meetings. This move appears to us to be an act to keep people from speaking, as the end of a meeting time is never known, and people with ideas that should be heard by the board may not be able to arrange to stay until 8, 10, or 11 o'clock at night just waiting for their time. Mr. Todd, you have continuously encouraged teachers in the community to share their thoughts and say that you want to hear from us. I urge you now to show that leadership and a genuine commitment to hearing the public and making it easier for them to be heard, not more difficult. So my original reason for being here, my name is Carrie Jones. I do not typically like to toot my own horn, but I might a little this evening. I apologize. In 2018, I left a school and position I was very happy with to come join the new admin team at Liberty. I took a small daily rate of pay decrease to move to this position, but I believed in the leadership of Dr. Lori Schuff and Natasha Camp, both of which I had worked with in different areas and capacities within my first 20 years of education. During my first 3 years in Ed Services, or my 3 years, I had the opportunity to initially support professional development processes, support instructional coaches, and then begin to build the separated and isolated 4 reading interventionists we had into an established district team, while working with K-3 literacy district-wide and other duties as assigned. As we headed into the surprise of COVID, K-3 literacy was on a strong upswing, with teachers collaboratively growing in their understanding of reading processes, data monitoring, and general good practices. Our reading interventionist helped me lead a process to bring in an explicit and systematic phonics program that was missing from our previously adopted core ELA program. And despite a board member's social media claims to this endeavor, bringing this phonics program to Liberty staff and students is one of the accomplishments of my time in Ed Services, of which I am most proud. In 2021, I decided to return to a campus position for a variety of reasons. I'm teaching first grade at Estrella Mountain, and I'm proud to be part of a K-3 team that consistently shows a strong commitment to supporting early learners. As you have seen, our data is exceptionally higher than other schools. Please be assured that this is a result of the work that we do, not a magic population of children. I am one of those teachers working incredibly hard every day and have students who are highly successful. Recently, you praised the new hires that we have, and Board Member Bixler, I love your positivity with that. But I wish you would ask why we have the need for so many when we aren't opening a new school or adding sections everywhere. Contracts were due today, and I wonder how many were not signed. Heading into today, there were already 25 resignations, not including lapse of emergency certs or other circumstances. That's a staff of one of our smaller schools. I've been watching these personnel action items, and among the list of resignations, I have seen no fewer than 6 of our finest Liberty teachers' names. They have made a decision to take their talents other places, and while I'm excited for their new students and staffs, I'm really sad that our Liberty students are going to be missing out on them, and you should be as well. My name is Carrie Jones. And my name will now be added to that list of your most effective teachers leaving Liberty. I did not sign my contract. Instead, over spring break, I signed a contract at another district where I will use my gifts and talents to support their staff and teachers.
Next item is 4.1, Governing Board Agenda. Vice President Parks.
Thank you, President Todd. Let's see here. First of all, I had a wonderful evening at Liberty, the AG program, and I actually got a pretty nice tour. They had some beautiful presentations there. I got to see the 4-H animals. There was a great demonstration of how the agricultural industry is using solar and renewable energy. Actually, the kids were really excited to show how all that works, and that's kind of my new area, and I kind of like that. It was really fun to watch. They had a cotton gin there, and the fun part was to watch the dissection of seeds, because I actually learned something about seeds. So anyway, I wanted to thank Ms. Murray, and I apologize, I know your name changed, but I don't remember what it is. So, in any case, I wanted to thank you for the tour. It was a really nice tour. We had coffee with the superintendent and the principal at Estrella. It was a really nice turnout, and we really had a nice discussion on the roles and how the SSOs were working out there on campus. And it just goes to show how strong having that presence is on campus, and I think we're going to continue to try to get that throughout all of the campuses in the district. I think it's critically important. So anyway, thank you.
Board Member Bixler.
Yeah, a lot going on over before we broke for the spring break. Started off with the district math challenge, and it was held in this room. I don't know if you've ever seen this event. It was the first time I ever had a chance to come to it, but it was an amazing experience. You have groups of students sitting at tables, and there's two distinctly different ways in which the teams were assessed. The first involved the students having to by themselves work on 3 or 4 paper different tasks, and they were all math-centered. What they would do then is they would bring that paper forward, turn it in, and if it was good, that was fine. If not, it was put back into another stack where the students go back and get it again and try it again and try. They had 2 tries to do it. The second assessment tool was one that used whiteboards, where there was a general question posted on the screen, and then the students would come up with the answer, and then as quickly as they could, they would hold their whiteboard up, and then the proctors would walk around and say, that's right, and so on, and call out the name and so on. And then the object of the whole thing was to build teams of students to represent the district at a statewide math competition. It was fascinating to watch, to see the rigor from the primary grades to the middle school grades was significant. To see the difference in rigor that was expected, and to see the type of math skills that students showed in the process. But the one thing that I want to talk about was not necessarily the math skills that were displayed by our students, but the skill of our teachers that were there. There's an interesting event that occurred. There was an attempt made by the proctors of the test to try to lower the level of stress and to start off with a bunch of jokes and stuff like that to kind of lessen the tenseness of the moment. And there was one student that kind of stood out because they were really involved with the jokes of it and really got it and laughed a lot. It was really a lot of fun. Looked like the student was going to really enjoy the math competition itself. When we got into the math competition where you had the papers going back and forth and reworking and so on, it was obvious this student was very, very committed to being successful in this effort. But he still had the second one coming up. And when he turned in the last document and obviously did not have any idea what it was, completely fell apart emotionally. I mean, just disintegrated right there. And I was lucky enough because I was sitting over there right next to Loretta. And for those of you who don't know Loretta, she's one of our skilled IT people. But she saw immediately what was going on and jumped up and was heading over to that student to support that student for the effort they were making, but didn't get there in time because before she could get there, one of the other teachers who was in the classroom, Susanna Finn, got there first. And it was such an amazing effort by these teachers to support that student in this big crisis moment that they were having and got that child ready for the next part of the test. I can congratulate those people. That was amazing to watch. So that's how I started. The next thing I got to go to was the Cougar Color Run, which was fascinating. I don't know who had more fun there, the parent volunteers that were there throwing the paint on the kids or the kids themselves. They were both equally covered in paint dust, and so it's hard to tell who was the most fun. But to watch the kids take off running after being doused in this paint and see all the powder flying off their back as they went off running was just an incredible experience. From there, I got a chance to go see the Professional Development Committee and the work that they did. In earlier life, I had a chance to do evaluations of administrators, and one of the things that we really looked at was how they conduct meetings. This was one of the best run meetings I have ever seen. Congratulations, Mrs. Camp. That was a great meeting that you ran. And there was not a single voice that wasn't heard in that meeting the whole time. Everybody who was there should have felt empowered to be a part of it because their voice was definitely heard. I do have to admit, I did have tickets to go see Dune 2 at the IMAX, and we were pushing right up to the time that I had to go, but you made sure that everybody's voice was heard, and so I got there in time. But well done, Ms. Camp. That was a great meeting. From there, went to the Las Brisas Academy Trimester Awards, and those are always just so much fun. They are thrilled. What stood out to me in Las Brisas was the fact that, and this was consistent not only in the lower grades, but up into the middle school grades as well, how supportive and just very visibly congratulatory and encouraging of the students that were getting the awards. They were high-fiving, they were shaking hands, they were yelling and screaming when people got awards. It was amazing how their peers supported them in the awards. I was thrilled. For a long time, being good at school was not cool. I think that's changing. I think the pendulum's starting to swing back. They're starting to be good at school. So I loved seeing that. From there, went over to coffee with the superintendent over at Estrella Mountain, which was a lot of fun. And again, as was said earlier, good turnout, lots of good conversation. For me, it kind of threw me back into the old days because Ms. Boris was wearing a pie shirt. The meeting was on 3/14. March 14th, and for those of you who have not been middle school math teachers, you probably don't know that March 14th is Pi Day, 3.14. So appreciate the memory lane trip that I got to take, seeing your pie shirt, and I appreciated the work that was done there as far as that. Finally, the National Board certification, teacher certification, went to that recently, and that was a terrific event. We did have a teacher get recognized there. Wonderful. Second year in a row we've gone. It's always good to have our teachers there, and the more effort we put into that national certification, the better I feel. So thank you very much for having me on your campuses.
Board Member Kenyon.
I didn't get to as many as Member Bixler did, but I was able to get to the Liberties Ag Night, and that was a lot of fun. There was a huge turnout. A lot of children who are involved in 4-H brought their animals in and, got to show them off to their friends and community members, and it was a lot of fun. The auction that went on, and I think our auctioneer even got his daughter up there to try auctioning off some stuff, and she had a lot of fun with that, I could tell. But it was just a great night, great community night, and so I commend Liberty for that. That's always a fun event. If you get a chance to go to one of those next year, and it's a lot of fun. I just want to remind everybody that we have testing going on across the district. And so parents, if you're listening, please, please, please support your children by getting them to bed at time and, limit the video games a little bit, maybe make sure they have a good meal, make sure that they're ready for it, because it's going to, that's what we're here for. We're here to see where our kids need help, where they need to be, the instruction needs to come from, and so that they can be successful. And so please help us with that. There will be something coming up in a little bit that we'll be approving, I assume. But one of our teachers is going to be retiring this year, and we're gonna that's Miss Lucy Evelyn over at Liberty, and so I just want to congratulate her and tell her thank you for her years of service with our children. So
I don't have much to add, but I did want to say the Liberty Ag Night was spectacular. I had the luck of getting to attend that, and I do think it's luck to get to go, that we have such a great program in our community. But we've seen it grow year after year after year, and it grows exponentially. You can't even compare this year's event to last year's event. We're not going step 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going step 10, 20, 30, 100. It's spectacular. The solar presentation was great. The dissection of seeds was interesting to watch. Kids take something that most of them don't probably know. I've asked a few others, they don't know about it, but our ag program, they're learning about that, and had them break it down very simply. Dr. Monroe and I haven't seen his, but we both grew seeds. I know mine grew more than yours. Just guessing, but I got the microphone, powers of the mic, right? But no, it was great to see the students set that up and show us that. So what a great job. The auction is always fun. The apple pies, I was unfortunate I had to leave for another event, so I didn't get to bid on one this year, but I'll have to bid twice as much next year, I guess, and take 2 of them to even up my odds. Again, we also, as mentioned, the coffee at Estrella was fantastic. We've had 2 coffee events now in the past month and a half, both well attended. Our first few, not so well attended, but these last 2 have been great, and the conversation is getting more and more engaging. So again, we recognize we do coffee. Sometime we'll do maybe steak dinner with the superintendent. He'll support it, I'm sure. But we'll adjust those times as need be to accommodate everybody. But we got to start somewhere. We got to move it around. So great job. I did poke my head in on the math challenge, and Board Member Bixler had it well under control, so I went on to do a few other things. But it was great the time that I was in here, and his description of the event was spot on. It was pretty spectacular. And, we sometimes go to a football game or a basketball game, volleyball game here on the campus, and those are exciting. You come into the math challenge, it's very quiet, but it's equally exciting watching these students do some pretty tough math, and it's just coming off of their minds very well. So it's a testament to our students, but it's also a testament to our staff who are preparing these students to be able to come and compete. And I'll take my chances at the free throw line before I try to take my chances at the math line, because it is that was some pretty challenging work that was going on there. Color run over Estrella. My shoes still haven't recovered. I don't quite know what color they are. They're destroyed, but it was a great event, and I do agree the volunteers were having as much or more fun than the students. So great time. Goodyear PD and fire were there. Our community partners with our police departments and fire departments is spectacular, and we've seen a great growth this year in their involvement on our campus and having some friendly conversations, seeing them. They play such a vital role to our students, and really, really appreciate their involvement. The Professional Development Committee, which was already mentioned, I need to say nothing more about that. I agree with Board Member Bixler. Great meeting. Everybody was engaged. We get to a lot of meetings just here, there, everywhere. Many of them I go to are outside of the district for other organizations, and trying to get an entire room captivated and communicating, coming at things from different angles, but then hitting the target is spectacular. So I look forward. There's another meeting coming up, and again, great job. It's great to see. I'm a big believer in professional development, and I've been outspoken about it a little bit, and I'm glad to see that we're really moving this. It is still kind of new to our district in the way that it's headed now, but I think we're on a good course, so I appreciate that. I did want to mention at the last board meeting, I expressed some concern on the SSO program. Just we had officers kind of potpourri, police officers coming from all over the state. Australia had a police officer show from Cottonwood. Don't know what a Cottonwood police officer is going to do at our district necessarily, but I want to commend Goodyear PD. They have stepped up once we brought some of those concerns forward, and they're filling out all of those shifts. So now we have a local police officer who knows everybody else coming that's going to be responding in the event, and hopefully we never have one, but if we do, we're prepared, and we've got Goodyear police officers who have stepped up to work those shifts. That means the world. So I just want to thank the police department and their leadership over there for grabbing this and moving forward. And last but not least, as Board Member Bixler mentioned, another national board certified teacher, Ms. Jennifer Gilland. We went many years with probably staff not even knowing what national board certified was. It was something that just wasn't heard in our district. Now we have 2. And I'm going to convert the national board to the Ag Night. Maybe we can start exponentially growing that as well. And so hopefully we'll have 4 next year. But it is a grueling process. I did not get to attend this year, had another commitment, but I want to congratulate the teacher, Ms. Gillen, who has put forth a lot. And you want to talk about putting a lot of work into it. I attended the ceremony last year, learned a lot about it, and it's great. So that's not just the teacher that does that, but it takes her fellow staff members and leadership to help support that typically. So again, it's just a great overall team job, and she represents our district, which is phenomenal. So that closes my comments for now. We will now move to our consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion. I have a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, when I call your name, I request your vote. Vice President Parks?
Aye.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that proof 4 yes, 0 no. Next, members, is item 6.1 on our general business discussion, consideration to change the order and format of call to the public agenda item and adding public participation to regular agenda item matters. Members, I brought this forward at the suggestion of our legal lunch. Had the opportunity to sit with our Attorney General's office, and they spoke about changing our plan. The main purpose for this is a little more transparency. If a member of our community wants to come speak on more than one topic, as we currently are set, they're limited to 3 minutes. The law says that we need to give equal time to each person. So if you wanted to speak on 3 items, you would essentially be limited to 1 minute per item. But a person who only wanted to speak on 1 item would have a full 3 minutes. This is an effort to also engage our public by putting it into the agenda so that we have a little better ability to converse with them. We have a better opportunity to hear them in a timely manner at their agenda topic. And then at the end, just before we do our request for additional agenda topics, that's when the general topics that are not related to the agenda that may be referred to future agendas is there. So it seems most fitting to put it there. This policy is basically an exact copy of what most larger government bodies are doing. The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors has followed this for a number of years, and it gives everybody a chance to speak on their agenda topic when it comes up. What I would propose with this is that we call the agenda item, the board can then discuss, and at that point, the public member who wishes to speak at a certain topic would be able to speak. We've had instances where people have spoke beforehand and encouraged us to vote a certain way, and gone to great length to encourage that when the board seemed to already be headed that direction, this would give them an opportunity if they wanted to speak to continue to do so, but also if not, because they recognize the support, they don't have to do that. But most importantly, it gives each member of the public an equal amount of time, which is specified in statute, for their agenda topics. So it's kind of a situation where the board president can just do this as long as we have public agenda or public comment listed, but we wanted to bring it to the board for discussion and hopefully garner your support.
Mr. President, motion to approve the order and format of the call to public agenda item and adding public participation to the regular agenda item matter.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion and motion and a second to approve item 6.1. Will I call your name, please, Mr. President?
Some
Sorry,
questions.
more discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I have some discussion.
Right.
Do we know of any other school districts that's doing this? Because this is very different than pretty much every school board meeting I've ever been to.
I'm not sure that others are doing it yet, but my understanding from the Attorney General's office is this is their recommended practice now to start doing it this way, to give equal time. Again, I'm not so concerned about what
Could you
other...
cite what the Attorney General, I haven't seen anything from the Attorney General on changing the format of public
So the
participation.
law, and we have counsel that can speak as well, but the law specifically says we have to give equal time to speak. If we're not giving equal time per agenda topic, right now you're limited to 3 minutes total. So if you want to speak on three topics...
Who's given equal time is the people who speak. The equal time is not to the agenda item, the equal time is to the people who speak.
No, it should be to the agenda topic, because what's happening is you're limiting a person who wants to speak on three things to only be able to speak 1 minute per topic agenda, where somebody else who speaks on one gets a full 3 minutes.
You know, I was recently at the legislature, and what was suggested there was to hand it to somebody else and have them speak for you. So there's ways around that. I don't see a reason to change. I'm not hearing a good reason.
If I could offer something, board members, I do have experience with other school districts that do have agenda offered to the public on each agenda item that they're going to take action on, that then the public would be able to submit a request and speak on that particular agenda item. Where you have the call to the public, and the general call can be wherever you want to place it, but it technically, legally, it's not required. Actually, you don't have to have a call to the public at all. But if you do, you can place it wherever you'd like. However, I have experience with school board meetings, including the one that I participated in for a long time as an administrator, where we did allow the public to speak on an agenda item. They would get 3 minutes on that agenda item, and then if they chose to speak in the call to the public, they could also do that on a different topic if they wanted to. So that has been my experience.
What kind of time does that change as far as the meeting itself? Because now you're adding at least 3 minutes per action item.
It did change the time if it was a significant topic that people had feelings about, yes. You're right, it could make the meeting longer that way. There's no question about that, Mr.
And in your experience, the request to speak occurred, they had to submit it prior to the start of the meeting? It wasn't something you could do inspired by the conversation at the action item?
That's a policy of this governing board. That has not been my experience in the past, that people can submit at another time if they are aware that they have something and they want, and it's before the agenda item comes up, they could submit it at that time. So that's been my experience. So that has been the experience. That's been the procedure that you have here in Liberty.
Right, yeah, I understand how we're doing it, so. I've never seen that, and I've attended board meetings in multiple states, so interesting.
Mr. President, if I may just make a comment. I am in full support of getting the public or staff's input on agenda items that they would like to speak on. My concern, Board Member Bixler kind of touched on it, is I don't want our 3-hour meeting to turn into a 6-hour meeting because of grandstanding, or issues like that. I want to make sure that people understand this is an effort that you're trying to give them the opportunity to voice their opinion more and have more public input on the matters at hand. I can see this going a little bit sideways if the public's not careful and coming ill-informed and hoping to be able to speak ill-informed. I hope that everybody does their due diligence, knowing beforehand what they're going to be hopefully speaking about. I would recommend that we continue to keep it where they would have to submit the request to speak prior to the meeting starting, for those reasons.
I will add something too. The governing board can limit the amount of time that's spent on any topic. In other words, any agenda item, you could say, we're only going to spend 30 minutes on this, 30 minutes on the public comments. And so you could limit to less than 3 minutes if you want to for each participant. And I've seen that happen. So you could just say, if it's a subject that will have a lot of interest, you could say, we're going to have 30 minutes, 40 minutes of public comment, and that will be it. And so we're going to limit everyone to 1 minute or something like that.
Yeah, my experience has been kind of a slippery slope. I know that was tried here at one point, and the board president who tried to limit the time, it took a lot of grief over that, changing the time.
That can happen. If you have a certain procedure and way that you're following, people like it not to change.
I had some of the same concerns about running over on time, but I've given it some very careful thought, and I think one of the things we have to err on here is transparency and making sure that we talk about this all the time. We sometimes operate in a vacuum. I think we've got to give this a try. If it goes left to left field, we can make adjustments. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. But I think we need to make the best effort we can to get the public involved as much as we can, get their feedback. I have sometimes a difficult time in public comment, and we get down to 10 items later. I don't even remember sometimes what was said. I mean, even when I take notes, sometimes I forget the context. I'll support this. I think it's a good way to go with transparency and getting public input. We have to be willing to possibly make some adjustments down the road if that's what it takes. And if we're okay with that, I'll support this.
And that's my concern. We have some details that we haven't really worked out on this. Submission of requests to speak and so on. Boy, I think we're really jumping ahead without taking a hard look.
Members, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, when I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks?
Aye.
Board Member Bixler?
Can you come back to me?
Sure. Board Member Kenyon?
I'll support it.
That's a yes.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Board Member Bixler?
Well, I'm real hesitant. I vote aye.
Okay, we'll show that pass 4, yes, 0, no. Thank you, members. Next up will be item 6.2, possible action to convene an executive session pursuant to ARS 38431A1, discussion or consideration of assignment of a public officer, and ARS 38431.03A3, discussion or consultation for legal advice with the attorney or attorneys of the public body. This is in reference to the superintendent contract.
Mr. President, I make a motion to convene an executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431A1, discussion or consideration of assignment of a public officer, and ARS 38-431.03A3, discussion or consultation of legal advice with the attorney or attorneys of the public body, superintendent contract.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the executive session. When I call your name, is there any discussion, first of all? Okay, hearing none, when I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks?
Aye.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show we are now adjourned into executive session at 6:48 PM. time is 7:14 PM. We'll show that we are back into our general session, reconvening the public meeting. Our next item of business will be 6.4, discussion consideration to approve the superintendent contract for fiscal year 2024 through 2027. Members, as discussed in executive session, you were provided a copy of the proposed contract for Dr. Court Monroe. I would request a motion and a second on the approval, if that's your desire.
Mr. President, a motion to approve contract for Dr. Court Monroe, Superintendent of the Liberty Elementary School District 25 for the 24-25, 25-26, and 26-27 fiscal years, and post the executed contract on the district website.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Members, I have a motion and a second to approve the contract for Dr. Court Monroe, fiscal year 2024 through 2027. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, when I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks?
Aye.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved 4 yes, 0 no. Congratulations, Dr. Monroe. That will bring us to item 7.1, board comments or agenda topic requests.
Mr. President? We talked about this before, and since we are starting to look at state testing, I would like us to explore if we can identify teachers who have added value to their students' learning. And what I'm saying is, can we identify those teachers that are moving students beyond the predicted? I think the documents, the accounting we get from the state will tell us that. So I don't think it'll take a lot for us. I think we'll already have that information, but I would like to explore that, and I would like to see if we can do something with that.
I could second that. That's been something I've been looking at too, is trying to see the teachers that go above and beyond, they can figure out how to reach these kids and what we can do for them. And on the flip side, the ones that are struggling to educate the children in their classroom, what we can do to support them.
Okay, anything else? Just have one question. With School 8 looming, when do we start looking at the naming of that school? Can we do that at any time? I just hate calling it school number 8. It sounds kind of plain.
Yeah, we can follow up. I don't think there's anything in policy, so we can bring something to the board for discussion or process.
Okay, that'd be great. Is anything else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to our upcoming board meetings. We have April 8th, regular board meeting, April 29th, regular board meeting, May 13th, the regular board meeting. Our June 10th meeting will be canceled, and our June 24th meeting will be a regular board meeting. Do we have any work sessions planned for any of those dates? I think we had one.
The 8th.
The 8th, right? Okay.
So starting at 4:30.
Okay.
On the 8th.
All right. So I'll note that as well. Great. I'll move to item 9.1, adjournment of the meeting.
Mr. President, motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Assuming there's no discussion, I'll call your vote. Vice President Parks?
Aye.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved 4 yes, 0 no. And the meeting is adjourned at 7:18 PM.